Good evening, everybody. So let's start animating. First thing I did was imported all my Judy James sound files. So now I'm just going to add my transcripts to them. So this is 14, import, 16, import, 18, 20, okay, that's all my sound files. I'm just going to turn off my fan now that I remembered. That should make life better if you're actually listening. Okay, and I usually, I've got my forearm frames already set. And I'm just going to slide those way over, or actually let's just import the sound file first. So let's import Judy James, and then we'll go to timeline, compute lip sync from audio and transcript. Oh, transcript. What? Oh. 22. Sorry, I thought I had done them all. Okay, so we don't want 22. We want the first one. So 14, we'll pull in Judy James. Select it. Make sure that James is highlighted. Compute from audio and transcript. Just to keep everything tidy, pull my tape right to the beginning of the scene. Okay, and now I'm going to take my forearm frames and just move them off to the end because I'll be using them later and I won't have to rebuild them that way. And I'm going to go to the end of the lip sync and give it like a couple more seconds. I'm going to make that the end of my scene, so I'm going to set scene duration to playhead. Now what we do, and I'm a little worried that this is going to be super loud for you, is watch it over and we'll delete all the times that Judy's talking because we're working just on James, and I usually like to zoom in on the face while I'm doing this so I can see if there's any issues. I found one consistent issue that the audio from transcript or with transcript often drops the W sound, so like say in here probably there's going to be a W sound.
What I was expecting.
Yeah, so.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's me.
Okay, so this is Judy talking, so I'm going to take that out.
My fault.
Yes. Yes. Because you owe. I try to get it to.
Okay, and that's all still Judy talking, so I'll take that out. Now the lip sync line should just be him talking, which is good. Now what I do usually is go in and tighten up the lip sync. Sadly, I can't adjust the volume, so if it's crazy loud, I'm very sorry. I'm just going to go in and put in those missing visines.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come. would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm
It's almost always a W. I don't know why.
But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly.
All right, and the rest, I think, then it's him again.
My fault.
Yes.
Okay. So lip syncing is done. How fast when you compare that to Flash? That used to be one of my jobs, just lip syncing all day. Okay, I'm just going to turn everything else off just to make things easier. So the next thing I normally do is a browse pass. So browse pass is really easy. Remember, we've already got them on the timeline from earlier. So yeah, you just listen to it again and do the browse pass. So almost always this your brows go up a little bit at the beginning of the sentence. So I like to put that in.
What I was expecting.
I'm going to go all the way full surprise. Expecting what I was expecting.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that.
63 days.
The jaw's moving a little bit weird there, so. I'll do that later. Let's just do the browse pass, one thing at a time.
To 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
Ooh, my computer's really loud too when the fan goes off.
My fault.
Yes, because you.
Okay, and the rest is her talking. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit and we'll do the hands pass. So sometimes you only have
Overruled.
Oh, gosh, I hate spacebar alt issues. Oh, actually, I realized we haven't set a rest pose. So normally the very first thing you do before lip sync and everything is set a rest pose. So I'm going to activate right hand and left hand and decide on the nice rest pose. We set up our neutral arms earlier. It's nice to have a little bit of a space. I think that looks pretty good. Let's see if we can refer to the original artists. So that's James and Judy. Oh, he's gesturing in the picture, so that isn't as helpful. You can change his rest pose later without a huge issue, but his arms look slightly different lengths. Oh, it is crazy loud. Hi, Sandy. I gotta remember to glance in there. There doesn't seem to be a way. Can you still hear me if I click mute primary microphone? I don't think you can hear me if I mute at all. I think my solution is going to have to be get headphones and then talk through that mic, and then I can mute. Audio goes totally off. Yeah, I don't know what the solution is. And it's also horrifying to listen to if you're not the one like strobing through the sound file. It just blip, 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 blip. This sounds terrible to listen to someone else doing that. Yeah, okay, well, I could have it turned off and then just turn it on when I want to talk. Like, you don't need to hear me when I'm doing the browse pass. It's something I didn't really think of with the streaming thing. I know if I use two microphones, I should be able to adjust the input of the, like, normally would be game. So hopefully, and how does the chat look set up like this? Hopefully decent. It's got, I'm just was worried if you were going to be seeing it twice. Nice to hear you, just too bad you can't make the computer audio lower. Yeah, I have headphones with a little microphone on them, so you'd be able to hear me in that sense. Chat looks way better. Awesome. Okay, well, I'll just continue what I'm doing. Basically, I am coming up with a rest pose, so if you got input here, I'd never know quite how far to make his arms from his body, but I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go with this for now, but we can adjust it.
Me, when I tried.
So you just take a couple of frames. Sadly, I didn't start at the beginning of the timeline. And then because I recorded both at the same time, you get them both. So right hand has left and right wrist, and the left hand line has left and right wrist. I just go in and delete the one I don't want. So normally I only record one dragger at a time, and then you don't have this issue with them both being on the timeline. So drag that for the whole length of the sound file. Or, well, a little bit more. I usually go to past the scene even. It doesn't hurt having the rest pose extra long. And then you want that right from the beginning as well. Okay, yeah, so now we're going gangbusters already. So there's his rest pose. His eyebrow pass is basically done. I find that often I have to go in later and kind of tweak the eyebrows a little bit. And if it wasn't so incredibly loud, I'd probably watch it over one more time, like kind of without stopping to see how my eyebrow pass was. So bear with me. I'm gonna watch it again, so it's gonna be loud.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overruled.
Okay, and then he doesn't talk anymore after that, so I'm trying not to play the whole sound file now that I know how loud it is. And they look really jumpy and obvious right now, but that's because we haven't done a head pass, so his head not moving at all, but they should be going in approximately when we, like triggering when we want them to. I'm kind of under debate. I might want to change some of these to just the up eyebrow instead of the surprised eyebrow. Just partially to have a little variation, but also it might be too excessive. I usually wait and do a head pass and then see if they still look excessive, because you can always turn them down later. Yeah, so now I'm going to pull back even further, and we'll do a hands pass, and then this is where if like the creative decisions that take the time kind of is deciding like which hand should move and when. So we know Judy's standing here. You know what, maybe I told myself I was going to put that in just so we could see it, so I'm going to pull that picture back in. What did I call it? James and Judy. And I'm just going to slide it underneath. I'm just thinking it might impact like how I animate him, but if I make it super opaque, it'll just remind me where she is a little bit. Okay, and he doesn't have down looking eyes or anything to refer to his computer. And I think because he's behind his hand is going to be behind the table, so behind the computer there, we maybe want to do most of his gesturing with his right hand. So I'm going to do the right hand pass first, kind of. So
what I was expecting by now, Judy.
So I think he'd probably go like open gesture there, so I'm just going to select open gesture.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that.
And then maybe he'd go like. It's been a while since I've animated with these hands, so I'll get faster as I remember how to visualize them. So open gesture is always easy. Open flat's the new one that we added that I think might work here.
Was that the average length of time?
Okay, and that'll have to hold longer.
Was that the average length of time our customers pay us in?
Maybe we'll go right to the break. One bit of advice I was given was hold it longer than you think you should. So I would have likely ended it a bit earlier, so I'll just hold it right till the break.
Pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm
actually seeing, maybe that one we'll just do the open palm. Okay, and I was also expecting this open palm to be straight up and down still, but I think it's because we didn't use the default hand. So one thing I could do is either add an extra open palm or when he's animated, so see how that goes. But yeah, I think I'm going to want to twirl palm down. The other option is just to make a different selection and see how it goes. So open up might also work really nicely there. But I think some of the hands are going to be at the wrong angle for him, partially because I switched him to A pose.
But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me.
Or actually, you know what? Let's switch hands because it's been a while since we. It's been a while since we switched hands.
Would have come down from 60 to 45 days.
But what I'm actually seeing, so I'm going to go up to his left hand line and I'm going to go, let's say, open gesture.
But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me.
And then I think open up.
Given me is that it's increased slightly to.
And then open flat here, I think.
To 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yeah.
Okay, my fault. I think we want to do side open maybe, or would he go like my fault, or would he go gesturing towards himself, my fault?
My fault?
Yes, because you
Okay, so then I usually just watch it again. Sorry, it's going to be loud. Watch it again and kind of see how the hands move and see if they're the right gestures. So keep in mind the forearms haven't moved at all yet.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on.
Okay, so that's all looking decent. And then, so now I'm going to go in and do my forearm pass. So here's why I saved my frames. Let's go in and copy the right forearms. Okay, and where it switches is where I'm going to paste them. And then I'll just select the last frames and pull them on out until where it ends. and sometimes you go in after and adjust where, you know, like maybe we don't want it to end on one, maybe we want it to end on four.
Would have come down.
Okay, and that's all we did with that. Oh, no, we have one more. Okay, now I'll copy my left forearms that we already pre-made earlier. And I'll go to the left hands that we did and drop them in. Let's put that on, actually on the frame. Oops. Then I'm gonna so here's where you'd sometimes do adjusting, like when he's got more than one gesture and it's not going back. So even though I'm switching hands, I'll probably stay on that same arm. I'll also probably stay on that same arm.
63 days.
Okay, so now, sorry for dragging back and forth, that just sounds horrible. And now I'd normally watch it again, so keep in mind no torso bending or anything, but it's coming together nice and quick as long as we're happy with our choices. So I'm just going to turn off all my triggers so you can see how he starts from the rest pose still.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, I don't like that my fault, so I'm going to go... which one is my fault here?
Was that the average length of
My fault. I think it would look better if he was like, what? So I'm going to change this one to open palm, and I'm going to put in open palm on his left hand as well. Okay, and when it's open palm, he's just going to be, yeah, we're going to want to twirl open palm. So I'm going to go into Animator, or Illustrator, and I'm going to go to default. No, let's make sure we got the right frame here. Default is 4. So right arm and left arm, forearms, 4. And I'm going to go to open palm. Actually, let's go right into 4. We'll hide everything but open palm. Select only open palm so you don't rotate everything. Put our rotate point in there and turn those down. That's how I was expecting them to look when I was selecting them. And then we want to do that also for forearm 4. Enter isolation, hide everything but open palm. Pooh, again. See, now that I don't want it to change everything, it's changing everything. All right. What the heck? Oh, right forearm is right default, not 4. That's one of the problems of not building the sets myself, is I'm not sure what's default, what's 4, what's 5. So enter isolation mode will hide everything but open palm, and rotate. Again, it selected everything, but everything's vanished. There we go. So now he'll go like, who, me? Which I think is a better choice. Hopefully it's not too big of a movement. My fault. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so let's watch that one more time with our new choice in there, see if it looks a little bit better. Let's turn these off.
But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try.
Okay, so the other thing is when he's going with his left arm, I don't know if we want it going all the way to the donut shape. So let's find that left arm section again. Here. So we might want to end it actually on like 2. It'll be behind the computer is kind of what I'm thinking. So we might even want to just do 3. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't use that arm. Yeah, let's not use that arm. We've got it in the one section. Dang, that was the nice long one too. Okay, well, we'll just switch it to the other hand and hope it looks as good. So, open gesture. Open up. Open flat. And then we'll just delete them off the left hand.
But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's.
Okay, so let's put the forearms in. And let's watch that part again with this hand now. Hopefully it's not too heavy on just the right hand. Like, I think not, because in the big gesture we're incorporating both.
From 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your.
Okay, so to 63 days. I think we're going to want that one on 2, maybe? That hand looks like it could be moved lower. I don't like it on that hand. Okay, so let's go to 2 and let's try it with 3 there.
Slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly.
That is increased slightly.
should have just twirled all the palms. Okay, so palms we want all facing down, I think. So the first scene always takes the longest because you have a few of these adjusty things to do, making sure that your hands are at the right angles. But once everything's all at the right angle, yeah, so normally I would never put the palms, like, you always want to build your hand sets with your hands going naturally off the wrist, like, you know what I mean? Because you'll be moving your whole forearm. So if you know I don't know how to explain it, but like, if I was building this hand set from scratch, I would try and make sure that the palms were coming off naturally like that. And if I want it to go to the side, I'd move the whole forearm, or select a different forearm maybe, if that makes sense. Okay, so that should now take care of that, so we can see what it looks like on 3. Right, and then so now I do this to get his hand at the right angle to 63% when we do the arms pass. So that'll work.
To 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault.
When you change that one end, don't forget to change that. Oops. Oh, don't forget to change that at the other end. So 2, 3. So we want to go. Just get rid of this one and make this 4.
Days.
And that's mainly your fault.
Alright, let's watch it one more time to see if it looks too flappy, because now majority of it's all with the right hand.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was...
Okay, I think he should drop his hand on Judy instead.
By now, Judy, was that the average length of...
Or even keep it up.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our...
I'm going to make a new decision here, and I'm going to make that open palm again, I think.
Was that the...
And then get rid of this.
Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients.
Okay, so I'm fairly happy with that. We have a few scenes with Judy and James, so I'm gonna want to figure out how to incorporate his left hand a little bit. I don't think we want only his right hand moving for the majority of it. So we had been discussing a little bit, maybe making him touch his computer or something, or maybe it won't look bad having it behind the computer. But for this scene, I'll just stick with what I have for now. Okay, so I'm going to watch it one more time. It's going to be loud as heck.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from...
Okay, so now we'll start the arms pass. So I'm going to activate just my right hand, and I'm going to go to the center, or sort of to the peak of the action, where I think the peak of the action is going to be, and trying to remember what he's saying there. So
what I was expecting by now.
Okay, so he's saying what I was expecting. So let's set up his arm. He would probably be out like this, and in fact maybe I would do open up instead. Seems to make a little bit more sense. Okay, so I'll just do a quick recording.
Expecting.
Okay, and I'm just going to make sure that this handle is twirled up so that I don't get the incredibly growing timeline. And I usually go one frame before the keyframes. I go one frame after the keyframes, and this little dragger is just the blend tool, and then we can watch it.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the
Okay, that looks good. So was that the average? Okay, so I'm happy with that there.
The average length of
This one doesn't have any keyframes, so you want to just make sure that it's lined up about halfway. Just drag that out to the end. Make sure that's lined up about halfway.
by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report.
Okay, so what I'm seeing in this report, let's just see if I've used open up. Yeah, open up is next. Okay, so maybe he'd gesture in a little bit like this. So what I'm actually seeing. So
I'm seeing in this report.
okay, so we'll do the same drill. Drag it to the beginning. Blend it in, and then this one's different. We go past, so here's where our hand changes. We go past, make sure that you drag it past, it's just easier. And then, so what's he saying in this part?
Is that it's increased?
Okay, so is that it's increased. Okay, so he'd probably be out gesturing and maybe even up a little. You don't have too much up and down play because you don't want to deform the hands too much, but you have a little bit. So do your little recording.
Increased?
Okay, so here's why it's important to drag it past. So if I twirl open the timeline here, you'll see that they're actually separate. So what you're going to do is drag it past, and then they'll tween together. So that's why it's important to drag it past. So here's where it switched. So now we're one frame in front. So now when we play it, they'll tween, the bicep will move when the hand switches, if that makes sense. So we'll go.
Given me is that it's increased slightly.
Okay, so we want to drag that all the way to, there's our next hand switch, and that one's going to be open palm, and that one's going all the way down. So that's a nice big one. So somewhere after your switch, we're gonna what's he saying there?
To 63.
To 63.
63.
Okay, so we'll drag that. I like to line up there, and then you know exactly. And then this one gets dragged one past. Yeah, so now we can watch our sequence.
But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Okay, so we'll do the right hand first. My fault.
Yes.
And then before I do my blends at the end, I'm actually going to do the left hand as well. So I just turned off right hand, I activated left hand, and we'll get him kind of in the good pose.
Fault.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that that's twirled up. So you can see the little line here where the right hand was. So what I like to do is drag them. This is if you want them moving at the exact same time, which I do for this pose. You can select them both, and then you can do your kind of dragger at the same time, and they'll move simultaneously. And I think I'm just going to actually make this a bit longer. So the longer you make that, the slower the arms will move. Let's see how that looks.
My fault?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
nice. That worked good. Okay, we'll go to the next. Oh, that's it. Okay, so we're now get ready to be blasted out of your seat while we watch it all with the biceps moving.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
and that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Nice. So that's not bad. Now comes the fun part where you get to do some acting. I'd always like to have a cigarette for this part. I don't know why, it kind of relaxes me maybe. So, and the other downfall for me and for other glasses wearers is that it doesn't do a great job with glasses. So I always have to take my glasses off for the head take. So we're actually ready to do the head and torso take. I do them at the same time. First thing I usually do is turn down recording speed to 75. That's an OK Samurai tip. You just get like a smoother look, I guess, and you have a little more time to get your poses in how you want. Okay, so to do a head take, this is part's embarrassing. We'll hit Control and activate everything. Then I'm going to turn off triggers. I'm going to turn off left hand, right hand. I'm going to turn off lip sync, and I'm going to turn off eye gaze. That's how I find it easiest. Okay, so everything else is already animated, right? So left hand is animated, right hand's animated. All our triggers, that's these things on the timeline, are done. Okay, so I'll take off my glasses. And often the first take isn't super great, and I like to be in a fair amount. Like, you want to be able to see what's happening with the hands a little bit, because the hands will move while we're doing our take, because they're pre-animated. Man, switching back and forth with space and alt. I say that about 10 times a day, but it's horrible. Oh, the other thing I was going to check, let me put the glasses back on. Did I leave torso at default of 75? Yes, I did. So see how incredibly much you just can't move at all and he wiggles? So I'm just going to turn all of those down. I usually have the torso around 30 there. That's a lot more reasonable. So if it's too sensitive, they just move so much. You can only do these micro movements when you're acting the head and the torso. So I've got that turned down. Let's push that parameters. And then the head is pretty bobby too, so I might actually turn the head down just a little bit as well. The head is still set at 75, so let's turn it down a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to turn torso down a little bit more just to keep the ratios. So yeah, you can have them set and they look really good, but then when you go to act them, they're just so incredibly sensitive that they're really hard to get any kind of natural. So this one I have to move now a fair amount to make them like shift. So that's my tips. Lots of trial and error on that one. It's like, man, 100 takes later. Okay, so we'll calibrate. Make sure you've got your timeline set to the beginning. And I'll just hit record. It's going to sound terrible. And what I'm going to try and do is move my head as naturally as I can for what he's saying. And sometimes you get it great on the first take. Sometimes you have to do 20 takes. Okay, so calibrate.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, so I'm just going to pull that take out a little bit and then blend them at the end to make it more natural. The other thing I've noticed just from doing a lot of these is that I'm usually like a frame or two behind where I want to be. So now I just naturally push it one frame back just to tighten things up. So now we can watch it. So the timeline gets, like, this is why I always do the head takes last. The timeline like fills up and gets a lot harder to kind of see what you're doing. So now let's turn everything back off. We will pull back to fit and see how we did.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, that doesn't look bad. I like to watch it at a couple of different settings. You know, like if when we go to edit it, we wanted a nice zoom here. Is it still going to look nice? It didn't look bad from far away. Let's see how it looks close.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough.
Yeah, so that is about all there is to it. And now, so I've got five scenes to animate. I don't know if we want to animate them all on stream, but that's a method. Once you get all your swap sets and everything, like, it looks so confusing when you look at the puppet, but it just goes together so nicely once you figure out how to get everything on the timeline. And I really like copying and pasting the forearms and all that. Just works so well. So yeah, normally what I would do now is put the background in and export it for the boss to have a peek and see what he thinks of it. I might watch it one more time and just see if there's any tweaking, like if we want to switch some of these eyebrows. Let's watch it one more time.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days.
Let's zoom in a little bit.
But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try.
Yeah, it looks not bad. So normally I would do all the James and then go back and do all the Judy scenes. Maybe we can try Judy, because Judy's all set up and ready to go. I think we could do this same scene but from Judy's point of view. I don't know, do we have cranky brows for Judy yet? Oh, the other thing I forgot to do now is name this scene. So name it 14 James. Darn it, and I also forgot to, normally what I do is copy and paste an empty scene so that I can keep these frames and keep everything on the timeline. I just forgot to do that this time. Okay, so Judy standing. Let's insert new scene. Let's call it 14 Judy. What's Judy's puppy called? Judy underscore standing underscore before. Okay, and So now I can copy everything, put it in the new scene, and I don't have to like put everything on the timeline and set up my forearm frames. They're already done on this one. Okay, so 14 Judy standing. First thing you do is pull in the Judy puppet, and then we'll just paste all our frames in. Pull everything way off to the end. We'll pull in our sound file. We'll run our compute lip sync. Pull it to the front of our timeline. Now comes the loud part again, where it's taking out all the times that James is talking. At one point we were getting the sound files all split up, but I find it actually the easiest just to pull out when they're not talking, and then you know what the other person is saying when you're animating. It's a little hard when it's like, yeah, but you don't know what the person just said that you're reacting to, kind of. So, sorry, I was just taking off my shoes. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Andy. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen it right from scratch, but it, like, really, once you kind of, once I figured out how to do forearms like that, it just comes together so nice and easily. And then the trick is, like, not being too embarrassed to act properly when you're doing the head takes. Like, it takes a little time to warm up. I find usually the later scenes turn out better than the earlier scenes because you're just warmed up and you know how the puppet moves properly. Like, sometimes it's better to move their heads up and down when they're talking. Sometimes it looks better moving it left and right. I find a little harder getting a good take on a 3/4 view than a front view, just because you don't have quite as much control over how the puppet actually moves. I just thought of one more thing. So in James standing, we're going to want to do an eye pass for him. So let's zoom out again. So to do the eye gaze, we'll just go back to the beginning. We'll activate eye gaze, and I'm going to put him just on keyboard. Let's zoom in on him here so we can see. Yeah, so we're going to want him looking directly at her. So again, you just have to do a short take of him looking the right way, and we'll just drag that for the whole scene. Obviously, if we were going to have him looking around or whatever, you just do it either a live take using the keyboard, or you can do another take over. Like, say we suddenly wanted him looking up here, you can do another eye gaze take here. Let's twirl these together, and then blend the takes like that, so suddenly he'd look up. The other thing that we were gonna do, and we can still do, is if we find that he's looking too far over to the side. I think it looks pretty good, but if we do find when we pull it over, we can adjust it using the keyboard strength. Like, if we turn it down, see how his eyes are moving, so we can get him looking exactly at her. But I'll just leave it on the default for now. And then let's push puppet behaviors. Okay, so yeah, he's basically good to go this scene. It's weird, like, once you kind of figure it out, the longest part is like deciding which hand. All right, so let's listen to Judy and James talking. So actually, I know this first part is all James.
Was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because
Oops. Oops. Okay, so she starts talking about there.
yes. Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, so we'll just do the same drill. It's short because she only has like 2 sentences. So I'm just going to turn everything off. And we'll start with the browse pass.
Yes. And that's mainly
And she'd probably be surprised browse for all of that.
and that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes. Because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
I wonder if we should go worried there.
Rule me when I try to get
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Yeah, she would look kind of pissed off there. So I wonder how it'll look go straight to that.
Fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, the other thing we can do, the other thing we could do is, even though she's not talking, she might be on screen, so you kind of try and do active listening, so when he says her name, she might react a little bit, so we'll listen right from the beginning.
What I was expecting by now, Judy.
Okay, so she'd probably go like, yeah, so let's go surprised. Gotta do some active listening, Judy.
Oh, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given.
Okay, she probably already starting to disagree, so maybe I'll just put worried here.
Days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
All right, so we're ready to do her arms pass. Let's pull out a little bit.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
Okay, so I think her left hand, I'm gonna go open palm.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
Oh, her palm, that palm needs to be reversed, right? So, dang it. Thought we were gonna get away without doing any extra rigging today. Okay, so Judy's standing. Let's go into AI. So the palm's in the right position, like angle. It just should be because if it's out palm, right, her thumb would be on the outside. Let's double check that I'm seeing that right in my head. Yeah. Okay, so, and that's her left hand. So AI. Let's do them all at once. So we want open palm. No, that one's right. Oh, only on default left. Is it backwards? I'm not sure how that happened. So let's go object transform reflect. No, only that one was reversed. That's really odd. Oops. And don't forget to, so that was default left.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes.
I don't know why it kicks you to the end sometimes when you delete something. Okay, so.
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late. Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get...
You know what, I wonder if that whole handset is...
Yes, because you over...
It is, that whole handset. Dang it. Okay, so that's left forearms default. Yeah, something must have been locked yesterday when I was flipping forearms or hidden or something, because it's not, they're not consistently wrong. It's just a testament to how careful you have to be in like one mistake there. That's how I was expecting it. Okay.
Yes, because you overrule me when I...
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on... Because you overrule me when I try to get tough on...
again, it wants to select all of them, but only occasionally. I wish that was a consistent. There. So hopefully now all her hands are facing the right way.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, so we're just using her left hand, so I'm just going to take her forearms that I pre-made earlier when we were testing and plunk them. Okay, so
And that's
open palm, we're not going to, like, we'll just use
mainly
that on
your
the
fault, James.
forearm. And then open up, let's try and see how that looks. I have a tendency also to not hold that last bit long enough, so let's just extend that.
My fault?
Yes.
I think we're going to want to end on 2 for that one.
Yes. You overrule me. I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, so now we're ready to do, it's warm in here. I'm ready to do the hand pass. This is where you realize how important it is that those arms move how you want them to before you start. Okay, so what's she saying here again?
And that's mainly your fault, James.
Okay, and I know he just did them both, the both gesture, but I wonder if it's an opportunity to use both her hands as well. So you know what, I'll try it. Sometimes it doesn't look good together when they both like, oh look, she really likes that one gesture because she's using it a lot.
Your fault.
Okay.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes.
Come on now.
Yes.
Oh, whoops. See what I just did? Don't do that. I had my right hand activated and I was using my left trigger, and that's why it was so hard to move as well. Every once in a while, if you're finding that it's really hard to move your trigger, that's probably what happened to you. I'm glad I caught that in time. So yeah, when I'm moving my left hand, I want to have my left trigger activated.
Yes.
drag it past.
Overrule me.
Alright, we can watch it.
Days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, we are ready to do a head pass on her. So we'll activate everything and then we'll turn off triggers, off left hand, right hand, lip sync, and eye gaze. Move it to 75 recording speed. We'll zoom in a little bit. Oops. Don't forget to put your timeline to the beginning of your timeline.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Alright, let's watch it. Put my glasses back on.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Not too bad. Okay, and then so now what I would do is pull them both into one scene together. So I'm gonna go scene, new scene. I'm gonna call it 14 both. So I'll pull in, oh, I forgot to import my background. So file, import, background standing tables. Actually, we'll pull in, where is Judy James? And make sure we've got our backgrounds. So let's make this very pale. And now let's line up the paintings. There we go. We can delete James and Judy now. And then I pull in James, and he should be in the right spot, and Judy should be in the right spot. And now, do I have file, import? Okay, I haven't gotten standing tables yet, so let's put the standing tables. Oh, I see what that is too. So don't forget to delete the opaque backgrounds on James. Now when we go back into both, that should be cleaned up. Obviously I haven't put the foreground in, so that's what we could do right now. Let's go to background standing tables and open original artwork. What? Could not find the linked. Let's go cancel and open that again. What? Well, here's a new error. Could not find the linked file bitmap 3 PNG. Let's just go ignore, because I don't know. I've never seen that issue before. Okay, so we want to go. So what is this called? BK. Table. Tables are separate layers in that file. I can send them as 2 files if it's easier. I'm just making it into 2 files now, so it shouldn't take too long. And I'll just call this one main table. Okay, and then in standing tables, I will delete. There we go. Oh, we had the stupid shifting problem. I must have taken out something off the side. Okay, so that means I just need to pull in James Judy again. That shifting thing is really freaking annoying. guess it was that foreground table. There we go. So we'll delete that again. Okay, so now we should import the for table 1 and main table. Import for table 1. And I guess actually let's put James and Judy back in there. Make that super clear. Pretty good on the main table. Okay, delete. Okay, so if everything's in the right spot, and I did all my animation correctly, our scene should be complete. So let's watch it.
What I was expecting by now, Judy.
Wow, that's really loud. Let me just see if I can adjust the volume here. Two apps are using my microphone. Speakers are at 32.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased slightly to 63 days.
And that's mainly your fault, James.
My fault?
Yes, because you overrule me when I try to get tough on clients who are late.
Okay, so actually, on Judy, we're going to want to do eye gaze as well.
What I was expecting by now, Judy, was that the average length of time our customers pay us in would have come down from 60 to 45 days. But what I'm seeing in this report you've given me is that it's increased.
Okay, I'm trying not to watch them all, like the whole scene. Just, well, it's boring, but also you gotta pay to see these things. Sorry, Chad, I just, better to not delete them, just hide them, might delete them later. Oh, I've got an original with nothing shifted, if we ever need them exactly where they were. I've always got an original copy saved that I don't mess with, so if I, hiding them and then leaving them in CA, it doesn't like that for some reason, it messes with stuff, like so your center point goes wonky and stuff. Yeah, so that's basically that one scene done. I'm not sure what time I started, around 8, so it's 9:30. It'll get faster, like, so I had to do some hand adjusting and arm adjusting and stuff, but it comes together fairly quickly. It's pretty warm in here. I'm just going to take off my sweater. I might take a break before animating another scene, and I don't know how much of the actual animating we want to do on stream. It's nice to share the method though, because it was really hard for me to figure this out. It took me like 6 months to figure it out, really. But when you see it in action, it's fairly straightforward. And then the other thing I'm just going to do as a courtesy is make a folder called 14, and we'll put our 14 scenes in there, because I'm not like, I often find the very first scenes I do in a project, like the first animation of the scenes, I've often gone back at the end of the project and redone the first scene again. Feels a little rough still, but you kind of get in the mode of how they move and everything. It'll get smoother. Yeah, so I'm gonna take probably at least a half-hour break, and then I may stream again to do the next scene. I might not, depending if there's interest. Okay, thanks for tuning in, stream. Have a great evening if I don't talk to you later. Bye!